Hello, it is April 16th, Tuesday, midday. I haven't done a flower walkthrough of the garden yet this year, so I thought I would do one while some things are happening here. We've got Serviceberries are kind of in peak bloom, at least some of them are. These are Amelanchier lavis, these bigger ones that you'll see in the landscape. There are a few other ones, a few other species that I've planted, and a few wild ones around, and some of them are already sort of wrapping up. But I wanted to point out this gate here. This is a new addition to the garden, something I planned last year, but making a more obvious entrance point for people who visit because they are behind where I'm walking. And I planted a few things around this gate, removed a few shrubs to put it here. Planted my Vigoro grape at the base, trying to grow it up over the gate. I've got some different flowers, echinacea, a couple kinds of echinacea, a couple kinds of monarda, daylilies, walking onions, things of that nature. So don't know if I've shown this new path here either, but this is going to connect over to this other path soon. Sorry for the noise. Hate those trucks. Okay, so yeah, this is a Serviceberry, kind of at peak flower, maybe almost past peak. This little flowering thing here is the rootstock of a Japanese plum. Don't know what the fruit quality is, never has fruited for me. My other Japanese plums are kind of done flowering. They finished in the last few days. You can see just the very beginnings of some color happening on the red buds. Probably in a week or so, those will look really nice. Here's a little ornamental quince there. This peach tree has no flowers, no sign of flowers yet. I'm not sure if they got frosted out. We did have some cold temperatures. You know, we had an early spring. We were 3 or 4 weeks early there for a while, and some plants started moving forward. And then it got cold and, well, more normal temperatures again. But we had temperatures down to the mid to upper teens here, which may have zapped the flowering potential of a few things. So this peach here also doesn't really have any sign of flowering. And what's strange was last year, these other cultivar peaches had fruit, or they had flowers before these Siberian sea type peaches that I have, which you'll see in a minute are flowering now. Got some other plums just about to flower over here. Got flower buds on a lot of pawpaw trees, but I am not confident that we'll have any fruit this year. And I wanted to also point out, this is a nice currant that I grew from a cutting last year, and I've been having a lot of herbivory on the leaves of things. So this currant has had most of its leaves stripped off, and I just planted a few honeyberries, hascaps, in my garden the other day, even though I've had terrible luck with that species. And like within a day, something had come and stripped off all of the leaves and the flowers of that, so they're just sticks now, which is super annoying. This little flower is an American plum, and that's from my friend John Edgerton. So yeah, these two paths will connect. I had to get rid of one of my incidental catalpa trees that was there. I didn't plant that. It was just something that showed up in the pile of wood chips one time. There's another one here that's leaning out. I took off several of the trunks that it was growing to give more room for this Illinois everbearing mulberry that I grafted here last year. And this pawpaw, this is a little cultivar pawpaw. It's got a couple of flower buds on it, but nothing major. But I have some bigger pawpaws that have dozens, if not hundreds, of flower buds on them. This little one there, I think, has a couple. So you may see I've been adding mulch. I've been cleaning up the grasses and things that have grown into the mulch that I've put down, and I've been adding more mulch here and there. So yeah, this little tree here is a Iowa white or something. It's a Siberian sea type peach. I've kind of lost track of which seed lot was which, but those are nice, nice pink flowers. There's another little buddy that it has over here that's also flowering. I don't think this one didn't have any fruit last year. It might have had a few flowers, but pretty. Don't know if we'll have fruit, but it's nice to see the flowers anyway. American plum here. This is a root sprout of the bigger one that got moved to the back field to be a companion to the main thicket of American plum back there. This little serviceberry's got a few flowers even at that size. This is probably Leavis also. That's kind of generally what my conservation district's been selling. So as we come over here, the red thing that's all lit up, that is I think Oikos called it a lemony quince. It's more of an ornamental quince, doesn't really have large fruit. That's very good to eat. And this pear tree, this is Harrow Sweet, and its flowers are just starting. You can see they've got some color to them. Nice little pink before they open, and then once they open, it's kind of just white. But yeah, beauties. Don't know if we'll have fruit, probably, unless it gets super cold, but we'll see. This is a little graft I did last year of a Asian pear. It's growing along pretty well. There's a little graft of a gumi onto an autumn olive. That's growing okay. And you can see in the hedgerow here, there's a number of serviceberries. As you go down, they kind of repeat. And they look great at the moment. As I pan over here, sorry, I'm trying to get the glare of the sunlight. What I forgot to point out, there is a running type serviceberry for my friend Ray. It's got about 200 stems. And the apple trees, God, those starting to see a little color on the buds of these apple trees, which is a little scary. And the Nanking cherries have finished flowering pretty much. You might just see the odd straggler flower here and there. That's what this mess is here. My pathetic patch of ramps here has never expanded in years, but that's there. There's some wild ginger coming in over there, some daylilies and things. Oh, I saw an ostrich fern popping up somewhere, but you can see maybe there's some heavy browsing here. Probably could be deer, could be groundhog. I don't know, I have both in ample quantities here. You can see some daffodils still going that I planted years ago here and there around trees. I've been doing a lot of nursery work in the last month or so, for several weeks, dividing things up, potting things up, taking things out of my overgrown air prune beds here. And actually, the willows that I grew were a real problem because they sent roots 6 feet away and into everything else. So I am kind of starting over, removing all the soil, using it as a potting medium, and then going to add new soil in. Stupid forsythias are about done flowering. Didn't ask for those, they just came and I just had them in a pot and they grew through the pot, and there they are. These little gems, they're not quite open yet, but these are clove currant. Oh, there's one open. This is Ribes odoratum. This is Crandall selection of that. Wonderful, wonderful native edimental, I would call it. It's showy, it's got good fall color, beautiful fragrant blossoms, and really nice fruit. Also made the mistake of planting a single little bramble plant in this bed a year and a half ago, and it overran the whole bed, so I've got to deal with that mess too. I've got some baby chinkapin chestnuts there, but I'll keep pressing on here. This stuff didn't work out well last year because the damn chipmunk stole all the nuts out of these beds. So, and the persimmons and grapes did not do well. So we'll try some willow cuttings in here in a more contained space. They won't get nearly as big. Got some willows that I planted, grew from cuttings, growing there. These beds, this has been a several year nightmare, but these used to be vegetable garden beds and they were all nicely mulched and weeded and there was no weeds. Now it's basically just grass and monarda and bullshit. But I have planted a bunch of perennials in here. The problem is the perennials have to compete with the grasses and monarda, and they, these raised mounds are just prime habitat for burrowing animals, so that's like mole heaven. And so anyway, I've not had much luck growing anything in these beds. So there are honeyberries, and maybe you can see here, that's a honeyberry there. This is a flame willow. little honeyberry, no, that's Nanking cherry. Anyway, there was about 15 honeyberries around here, and here we maybe see one of the culprits. But this is a pretty decent looking plant 2 days ago, and now it's just a stick with a flower on it, and I put a little cage over it now after the fact. But here too, here's another one that's basically defoliated down to nothing. It wasn't much to begin with. So yeah, I'm not sold on honeyberries, although I did have a really good one at my friend Russ's garden. So I know they can grow good fruit, but at this garden, not so much. I planted these golden willows in the paths. I figured everything grows like shit in these raised mounds, but maybe I'm going to start planting in the paths themselves. So that's what I did with these honeyberries and a few currants. They're actually in the wood chip paths, and I expect them to grow much better if I can keep the animals off of them. That'll be the question. So I'm not going to go all the way over toward the pawpaw area over here, but I want to show this nice quince. This thing's a real beauty. Fruit quality is nothing spectacular, but look at these beautiful flowers. Just love them. Wish they had a nice smell to match that appearance, but they don't have much of a smell, if any. It's a bit windy. Hopefully there's not too much wind noise. I apologize. It's supposed to be windier later on today, so I thought I'd do it. Now you'll see the odd white flowers here on these kind of wispy trees, and these are serviceberries, that wild serviceberries that have come in. Well, not this one. This is an American plum that I planted, but the rest of these are serviceberries. And had a real bad year with cedar apple rust a year or 2 or 3 ago, and so that I think thinned the herd a bit because they were totally defoliated. There's a little one. Here's one behind me. I think maybe I planted this one. I don't know. Things kind of get lost over time. This is a little gumi graft onto autumn olive. I have to probably thin out that autumn olive stuff down there. But yeah, nice. This was planted the first year of the garden, 2010. This larger serviceberry. And what else to show over here? So this thicket here is, a lot of it is wild goose plum. It's not flowering so much, but the piece of it that got spaded out and moved is kind of flowering, which we'll show that in a minute. I did some thinning and clearing here. Some of this wild goose plum stuff, the stems were too thick, and it was starting to shade out this nice hazelnut here south this way. And also here's a baby pawpaw that I grafted. So I want to give a little more sunlight to those things. Nice graft of an apple that grew well last year and didn't get nipped by the deer. These two grafts here did get eaten by the deer, so they're not looking so hot. Just more, yeah, this is an apple that could be grafted. I don't need this many apple and pear trees in a small space, but here's a Asian pear that I grafted that looks pretty good. This is a pawpaw. That's probably the parent of that root shoot that I grafted that grew in my compost 10 years ago. This is exciting. This is a thing that I planted to be a pollinator, either for the wild goose plum or the Dunbar's plum that's back here. And the Dunbar's has never grown worth a damn, but the wild goose, hopefully this will catch it for pollination, because thus far there's never been any fruit, but that was a pollination problem more than a maturity problem. So I'm hopeful that now that that's flowering a bit, in the next year or two I may start to see fruit. The weird little flowers of gooseberry, you can see they got some flies visiting them. I'm trying to plant more gooseberries out because this thing also never has fruit. I think that's a pollination issue as well. Cool little, let's see if I can get to these proto flower things on the sassafras. It's probably not going to want to focus, but these are cool. Probably edible. Probably tastes good. Yeah, that gooseberry is thorny as hell. But yeah, look at what a beautiful addition to the hedgerow those serviceberries are at this time of year. It only lasts for a few days, really. It depends on the weather, but some days it's like, or some years it seems like it only lasts a day or two, and some years it lasts longer. So as we come over here, this thing here is the wild goose plum, the parent original stem that got moved out. And you can see all this crap around it. It needs to be cut back. This is all of its root sprouting, which I don't need and don't want. It's just a maintenance nightmare. Chestnut, this little dude, had a couple of burrs last year, which is exciting. And you can see again, I've been mulching in here a lot of things. These look pretty cool right now. These are the catkins of alder. I wish I knew which species it was to tell you, but nice contrast with these cones. Most alders are a wetland, moisture loving trees, shrubs. I don't have a lot of that around here. So this one has done okay. A little test pond has a little water in it. That's good. Hasn't been as dry of a spring as it was last year, which I'm thankful for. Last year was pretty brutal. This is sea buckthorn. I've got a few of these plants. Well, I used to have 15 or 20 of them. I've got very few that look like anything. This one, I'm guessing it may be a male. I've never noticed any kind of conspicuous flowers on it. It's growing well. It's suckering like crazy now. But most of the other ones I've planted, cultivars, seedlings, whatever. There's a little pathetic one over there. Here's a little one that's probably totally dead there. There's one that's got like one branch alive here. So yeah, these things have pretty much been a total joke at this garden. They need to be really babied, I think, in this kind of soil. And no weed competition and ample moisture and mulch, which I tried, but I probably wasn't watering them enough. Maybe you can see over yonder, neighbor's got this just great luscious field of dandelions, but I've tried to encourage dandelions to come over here, and I get very few. There's a couple odd ones here and there, but I do everything I can to encourage them. I spread the seeds around, and I've collected bags full of the seeds and spread those around before, but it's not much avail. So maybe as the site improves, I will get those dandelions too. Not a hell of a lot to show over here. There's a little wild serviceberry in the distance there in the tree line. Probably can't see it, but it's the little white flowers there. I'm not gonna walk over there. So hopefully this will be a bit shorter than some of my videos. Got the water tanks set back up because I think on the average, we're not gonna freeze solid anymore. We may still get frost. It shouldn't freeze things solid. Don't want to come this way? Okay. This pear tree grew a hell of a lot. Kind of like to get a step ladder and nip the top of that off. Oh damn it, I forgot to show over here. Sorry. This apple tree I grafted, I don't know, 5-8 years ago. Who knows? My records are not that great. It's gonna have flowers for the first time this year, which is really cool. I did cut the main other trunk off that was competing, and then there was a double trunked eastern red cedar here. I probably should drop that bigger one too, to give this thing more light, but now it's finally starting to get more light and it's going to grow to the sunlight, which is behind me. So that's exciting. So yeah, more mulching here and there. This pear, yeah, it grew a lot. Don't see any flower stuff happening on there, so maybe that's okay. I don't want to overwork it. This graft is not quite healed over yet, but I'm expecting it to be within the next few months, hopefully. There's a graft of a chestnut there that seems like it's still alive. Oh, come over here, we're going to get into some action. There's a little Serviceberry, I think I planted that. As we come this way, we start to see the American plum thicket. And that is something to see this time of year. It's a buzz. It's got lots of bee activity. Now all this stuff here is American plum. This drift of stuff. You can see there's some oaks moving in. There are evergreens that I planted in a row here that hasn't really, I don't know, amounted to much. Some of them have grown fairly tall, like that one, and then this white pine here are pretty good size. White pine's creating its own little ecosystem. Let's see if we can get on and see. I can smell the thicket. It smells wonderful. It's really sweet with a hint of corn masa, like a real sweet, fresh flavor, scent. Let's just take a minute here. There's not an audible buzzing like there was when the sumacs were in flower later in the summer. That's probably in June or July even. But there's a lot of commotion, a lot of activity here. A lot of small bees, native bees. Not so many honeybees. There are a few honeybees, but I've not been seeing that many today. Here, this is the American plum. I moved back here with the tree spade, and this poor thing's a little beat up. No, it's opening its flowers a day or two later. But there's a bumblebee up there. Yeah, I bet if you had a way to photograph, document, catalog the pollinators on these native thicket species, you'd be just amazed at the variety and diversity and numbers of things that we're visiting. It's pretty incredible. There's butterflies, moths, flies, bees, wasps. This is the serviceberry that I moved back here. It's funny, this serviceberry here and that American plum there, when they got spaded up, they both had hazelnut roots that came along for the ride because they were in the old hedgerow. And so, oh, that doesn't look like hazelnut. That is serviceberry sprouting there, but you can see it's had a little damage from deer rubs and whatnot. But that definitely has a hazelnut growing at the base of it, and I thought this one did too, maybe not. So, okay, do I want to walk all the way up? I've been adding some mulch in the path here because this is always a low spot that annoyed me when I drive around. This is my driving trail. So just today I was adding all this mulch here. These are mostly chestnuts that were replanted year and a half ago maybe. And I thought a lot of them had died actually last summer, fall. They were looking pretty bad. So I've done some replanting. But then I realized that in some cases, the thing that I thought was dead is not dead. So I've got a couple of things growing in one spot, which may be okay. So like here, this was a chestnut, I can tell you what, Payne, seedling of Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, but it's got some black stuff in the bark and doesn't look that great. So in its stead, I planted a ginkgo, cultivar ginkgo female here. So if this chestnut survives and leaves out and grows, maybe this fall I will dig it up and move it, or do that with the ginkgo, one way or the other. I think this is the other ginkgo here. This is a male. You need to have both. And then there's also a Kentucky coffee tree I stuck in somewhere because I used to have one of those and it didn't make it, so I tried again. The edge of my property here, wanted to show this apple tree. This is a wild apple seedling that came in on its own. Now the stuff with the leaves on it, that is the native, or not native, the wild apple part of it. And the stuff that doesn't have leaves yet, that's the grafted part. And so you can see, must be grafted, I don't know, somewhere along in here. And this one, maybe the graft must be north of that branch there. Probably, sorry for the dark exposure, but it's somewhere in there because hard to tell that in the growing season because the leaves don't necessarily look different. You'd tell if it's fruiting. This one has never fruited for me yet. Although last year I did try the fruits that were on the rootstock, and actually they weren't too bad. They were interesting. So I'm kind of glad that I still have a few of those branches because they're small apples, but they're quite a unique flavor. This poor thing got racked by the deer. Don't expect it to live. Well, maybe it will. Who knows? That's quite a girdling though. White birch that's never grown worth a damn. Oh, I did do some limbing up this pine tree here to give some more room to the red osier dogwood that's underneath it. And I've also been thinking more about fire because this whole landscape looks like a tinderbox to me. And as dry as the climate is getting and as weird as it's getting, I want to try to do more things to mitigate fire risk. I want to show these crazy ass galls. This is I don't know what this is, chinkapin oak or something. I planted 4 of them here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. But this thing got just rocked with these galls last year, and I'm not going to do anything about them. Whatever was in that has already hatched out and is doing its thing in the ecosystem somewhere. But yeah, interesting. I don't think it's that harmful to the tree. I mean, oaks have evolved with a million different things that bother them. So the main thing I'm looking out for with oaks is oak wilt. So here I think the deer have been stripping leaves off of these nanny berries and some of the things that have very little leaves on them. Some half-dead Nanking cherries that I've just finished flowering. This one you can still see the couple odd flowers on. And just a reminder that this whole back field of this garden on my side used to look like this. This is what it basically was when I got the place. Just an expanse of little blue stem and quiet grass and dewberries and what's the other favorite weed? I can't think of its botanical name. Knapweed. Yeah, there we go. So this persimmon area, not much to show there. Those are late to leaf out, so that's good. Don't want them getting zapped if we can avoid it. This hedgerow, there's a few things like this and these bushes that did not get obliterated 4 years ago. But all this smaller stuff is stuff that's been replanted in the last, I don't know, 4 years or so. Another serviceberry there. I've done some coppice work on my false indigos. So this one, I left a lot of stems. I may come and remove some of those, but that was coppiced 2 years ago, so that's all 1 year growth. And this one I did thin out. That is 2 year growth showing there. So those stems will flower this year. They flower on 2nd year wood or older. There's some hazelnuts in the back there and some autumn olive. And these wonderful power lines that just really jazz the place up. They are making like a humming, crackling sound all the time, which is a little unnerving. Hopefully it doesn't spook the wildlife too much. Not much I can do about that. So we'll make it quick here. I need to probably rent a brush hog type thing, come through this on Welch's side here and mow down some of this stuff, autumn olive and stuff that's been growing. There's a couple in there that I might graft that are small enough to graft over to Gumi. But if it grows up too thick, then the power company may come in and just go ape shit and cut all my stuff down as well as their stuff. So I like to leave this lane, pretty open so that they've got good access when they need it. One thing I wanted to show up here, it always feels like a big milestone when you see something that you've grafted and almost forgotten about have flowers and or fruit. That's neat. So this is the graft. I don't know, hopefully this is not just Harrow Sweet. Hopefully this is like either the cool old pears that used to be on the roadside that got cut down that were 100 years old, or something more interesting than that, than Harrow Sweet. But we'll see. We'll know in a year or two. And that is a flowering currant, a totally useless bush. I don't know what the hell people plant it for. The flowers don't smell like anything. They don't look like anything. This is it in flower right now. I don't see any insect activity. I don't see what the attraction is. It's just a bush that has, to me, less charms than a burning bush or a forsythia. And here, there's a little wild gooseberry that I transplanted years ago from my grandparents' woods, and they sold that house, so that's long gone. But it looks like along for the ride came these little delicate wildflowers, and I'm kind of blanking on the name of those, so I'm not going to guess and be wrong. But anyway, that's cool to see some little woodland remnants from the old family property in an area that's pretty much full sun now. A little bit harsh. I probably need to come and mow down this growth of sumacs here too. It's a lot of shit to do in the springtime. The list just never ends. But it feels good to be outdoors working. You know, it's going to be time to start mowing soon. I mean, look at all this mess of quack grass here. And the last year I couldn't mow in here because there was a ground bee nest or wasps or something, and so I left that alone. Didn't want to go tromping on that and get stung for it. So I just kind of avoid certain areas that I notice ground nesting insects in. So I think that's about it. I've added some more posts and done some trimming of my grapes. You can see the flower petals are blowing off the Serviceberries, so yeah, they're past peak here. Trying to organize my grapes. It's funny, the only 2 grapes that have grown worth a damn are the only 2 that the varieties tags have been lost and my maps don't show. So that's kind of hilarious. All the ones I've managed to keep track of have never grown. Last year the Frontenac one did have a few fruit, but then the deer ate the green fruit off before it could ripen. This hazelnut got coppiced to the ground last year, so this is a year's, 4 or 5 feet of regrowth on that. And that's about it. So thanks for watching. Boring video. May make another one in a week or 2, depending on how the flowering goes. We're supposed to get frost this weekend probably, so we'll see how cold it gets. It may set some things right back. But yeah, some years the show is short-lived. But anyway, come visit. Oh, I should mention too, I made a Facebook page for this garden project finally, even though Facebook pages are so annoying to manage. It's just called PJ's Forest Garden. So if you search for that, it's public. It's got my name probably attached to it, PJ Schmiel. I don't have a name for this garden yet. After 15 years, never thought of one that was appropriate. So that's a dumb, banal name. But anyway, check it out if you want to. I'll probably link this video from there. All right, peace.